Yoga fam. I'm Jessie, for anyone that doesn't know me and this is their first time tuning in. Welcome to Community Flow here at our Yoga Vibe 585 page. Thank you for joining us. As you can see, I am now on my sun porch room, which is where hopefully I'll be doing a lot of yoga stuff this summer. It feels really good to be in this space. I'm already kind of warm. Hopefully you have a nice space that you can be in that feels good to be in while we practice today. Maybe that's outside, maybe that's in a private room, maybe that's in a porch or somewhere that you like to be. And we're gonna need, you may want a towel or a blanket. I'm sitting on mine right now to cushion your knees, or if there's other stuff we end up using them for. You may want to have either, like if you have yoga blocks, you can use those, or you could also use like a big book or like a little footstool, or you could get creative. You could use almost anything. And if you've got a yoga strap or a scarf or a towel or belt, we may end up using them as well today. So I'll try to offer options for people that don't have props as well, but if you've got something you can make work, we're gonna use that today. So, come all the way down onto your back. If you would like to bring something soft underneath your head and neck, like your towel or blanket, help yourself. You can keep your knees bent with your feet on the floor, or straighten your legs out in front of you. We'll take a few deep breaths, in and out, maybe through the nose, maybe through your mouth. And just notice what it feels like to be on the ground. Are you already starting to move? Maybe you're enjoying being still. Well, just check in with whatever showed up on the mat with you this morning. We're going to meet up with our knees in towards our chest. You can hold in front of your shins or behind your thighs. If you have your strap or belt or towel or whatever, you can use that to hold in front of your knees, which if you want to know what that looks like, I'm doing it. You can peek up at the video. Lots of ways to move our body that meets us where we are. And that's what we're going to focus on today, is meeting ourselves where we are, which is actually much harder to do than I think we give ourselves credit for. Keep your right knee in towards your chest. Your left leg can lengthen out on the mat in front of you, or you could bend your knee. We're going to make some circles with the right leg in your chest or around towards your belly. It might feel good to hold behind your right thigh and extend your leg up towards the ceiling, or roll out your ankle. And then we're going to kind of do a little bit of a half happy baby. So you're going to bring your right knee wider than your chest, and you can either keep holding on the outer edge of your leg as you bend your right knee and press your foot towards the ceiling, or you could reach up for your foot with your hand. Again, your bathrobe strap, belt, whatever you've got could also loop around your foot here to give you a little arm extender. It might even feel good to roll to the side a little and like let your right leg come down towards the floor, or you could bend and straighten your knee a couple of times. And then release the right leg and find a symmetrical shape on your back. So that could be knees bent, that could be legs out in front of you. And check in with where you are now. eventually left leg comes in. And all the same stuff is available here, but you don't need to do it the same. You don't need to do it any different. Well, just kind of adapt. Like, what do you need now? You may want to straighten your left leg. You know, maybe this side doesn't want to do that. Follow your own lead. And when you're ready, we'll come into the half happy baby pose. Again, either holding the thigh, the foot, using your strap if you've got one. And then any amount of rolling to the side or pressing your leg up and back down is completely welcome. It is your body. You get to do what you want with it. And eventually both legs come down onto the floor. You could take another happy baby pose, like a full happy baby pose if you wanted to, or any other shapes or movements on your back. We're going to roll our way up either forwards and backwards or over to the side to come into hands and knees. So when you get up to a tabletop position, you may want to open your blanket up under your kneecaps to cushion your little knees with a blanket. I think I'm good right now, actually. I'm just going to put mine over to the side. And then with your shoulders stacked over your wrists and your hips above your knees, we're going to start to move our backs. When you melt your belly and chest towards the floor and lift the top of your head and tailbone towards the sky, just notice what your body feels like. And when you go the other way, when you round your back, when you arch up, tailbone tucks, forehead drops, just notice, like, what's that like? It's the same you, but it might be different needs. So as you go back and forth between these two actions, flexion and extension of your spine, trust that, like, needing something a little different isn't bad. And actually, the awareness that you do is good. So following your own lead, moving at your own pace, all of these are ways that we actually get more in touch with ourselves. Even if sometimes that means going slower or doing something that looks a little different than, you know, what I'm doing or what someone else is doing or what you did before. Come back through the middle. We're going to step our left foot back behind us with the toes tucked under on the mat. You can tuck the right toes under if you want, or just leave the foot flat, doesn't really matter. Press back through your left heel, reach out through the top of your head. See if you can get longer through the sides of your body. And then you could stay right here if this is a good stretch. If you want a little more on the outer left leg, you can step your foot off to the right off the edge of your mat. You can press back through your heel. Another option would be crawling your left hand like forward and around to try to lengthen the entire left side of your body. And then when you're ready, come back through the middle. Second side, right foot steps back. Top of the head reaches away from your tailbone. Try to get longer, wider, fuller in all directions. And then add some side body outer hip stretch if you want. Right foot steps off the mat to the left. And then maybe your right hand crawls forward and around. Ooh. Couple of breaths. And when you're ready, come back through the middle. Take a couple of breaths in either cat and cow again, or you could bring your toes together, knees apart, and find child's pose for a breath or two. We're going to meet up in downward facing dog. So whenever you're ready to, from tabletop, you're going to step 1 foot back at a time like we just did, only this time when you get into a high push-up, you're going to bend your knees and lift your hips as high up in the air as they'll go towards the back edge of the room and the mat. From there, see if you can let your head get heavy, hug your shoulder blades together, and if you want to add stretch to the backs of your legs, you can start to reach your heels towards the mat, but they don't have to get there. And as a matter of fact, you might get more out of this pose thinking about lengthening the spine than worrying about straightening your legs. When you do get into downward facing dog, feel free to wiggle things around, to pedal out through your knees and reach one heel at a time closer to the mat. Another thing that can feel good in some bodies is coming forwards and backwards to plank. You can even do this by coming forward and lowering the knees and then coming back up. It will strengthen the same muscles without putting unnecessary pressure in your wrists. And then do come forward to plank. Do come forward. And when you get there, again, knees up or down. Take a deep breath in, and then exhale, bend your elbows back, lower everything to the mat, slow as you can, quick as you need to. When you get there, release the tops of your feet, roll your shoulders back, lift up through the front of your chest, and then exhale, release. Tuck your toes, press all the way up and back, downward facing dog. One more time, come forward to plank. Same thing, move at your pace. When you're ready, lower down slow. When you get to the floor, come into a little back bend, hug your elbows in, reach the top of your head away from your shoulders, and exhale. Keep pressing into the knuckles of your fingers as you press all the way up and back to downward facing dog. Take lots of little steps forward, 1 foot at a time, all the way up to a forward fold. You could also walk your hands back to meet your feet, or come into the middle of the mat, which is where I'm gonna go just so I can be seen best right now. And I always like a little height under my hands when I first come into a forward fold, and sometimes the entire time I stay in a forward fold. So if you want to grab something for under your elbows or under your wrists, I know in my body that helps me release my back muscles more, which I think you're going to want. I don't know, but that's what I think. You can shake out your head and shoulders a little bit. You can bend and straighten your knees a couple of times, or shift the weight forwards and backwards in your heels and toes. And then exhale, forward fold. Inhale to extend out long. Lift the shoulders away from your hips. Think about length more than height. And then press down through the outer edges of your feet, even as you fold a little deeper. Let your head get heavy. Bring your hands onto your hips. Hug your shoulder blades together. Long, strong spine. Come all the way up to stand. Take a moment here in Tadasana. George cat, stop it. Hey. Inhale, arms lift. Exhale, arms come down alongside your body. Couple more times just like that. Big breath in, arms lift as high as you want. Big breath out, arms come back down. Arms lift, arms lower. Last time, this time, arms lift, big breath in, and then exhale, Everything lowers. Fold at the hips. Bring your hands to the mat. Move the props out of your way and step back to a top of a plank. High push-up. Again, knees can be up or down. Take a deep, full breath in. And then exhale. You decide, do you want to lower to your belly for a back bend? Do you want to press back to down dog or find child's pose? Move with you. Back in downward facing dog, lift your right leg into the air. Stretch your foot back behind you. And then keep your right leg straight and start to open your body to the right. Right hip stacks over the left one. Keep kicking back through your left leg like you were going to push something away. When you can't open anymore, then bend the knee. Let your head get heavy, lift your kneecap towards the ceiling. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Draw your right knee all the way in towards your nose and step your right foot forward. Come on up, Crescent Lunge. Hands can be on the hips, in front of the heart or overhead, and the back knee can always come to the floor if balance is getting in the way of feeling embodied, which is really the point of this practice. Regardless of what poses we do, what the message is, like who's leading class, the point is your experience. And so see if you can adapt for what that is every time you notice that that's an option. Bend your elbows out side to side, hug your shoulder blades together, reach your hands behind you, interlace your fingers, roll your shoulders back, maybe even lean into your back leg a little bit. Spin your left heel down, press into the pinky edge of your left foot so that it's not just collapsing the knee, and then fold inside your bent front leg. Reach your knuckles away from the top of your head. Fold as deep as you want. And then exhale, hands to the mat. Walk everything around inside your front foot. Lower your back knee to the floor. And then reach your right hand back behind you. Open your chest and shoulders. One more deep, full breath. Exhale, hands down around the front leg. Tuck your toes, step back, downward facing dog. Big breath in, come forward to plank. Big breath out, bend your elbows lower down. Release your feet, roll your shoulders up, cobra or your back bend. Exhale, release. Tuck your toes, lift your hips. Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Lift your left leg up. Stretch your leg back behind you, long and strong. Keep kicking back as you stack and open. Left hip over the right one. Try to open your belly to the side. When you can't open anymore, bend your knee. See if you can lift your kneecap and drop your head. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, draw your left knee in. Step your left foot up. Crescent lunge, come all the way up. Keep everything squared to the front of the mat here. And again, how can you adapt for this pose? It might be really different than the other side. It might not. What's here? That's what we should be interested in. It's like, what's here now? Sorry, I'm listening to music and it's getting bouncy. Maybe you're getting bouncy. Bend your elbows back side to side. Interlace your fingers behind you. Press your palms together. Roll your collarbones wide. Spin your back heel down. Again, it might even feel like putting a little bend in the back knee to protect it as you fold inside the front leg. Knuckles reach away from the top of your head. Chest and shoulders lower. That's it. One more deep breath. Exhale, hands down inside your front foot. Square things up, lower your back knee, keep your right hand down, and reach your left hand all the way back towards the back of your mat. See if you can curl your shoulder blades behind you. Open up through the front of the chest. One more deep breath. Exhale, hands to the mat, step back. Move through your vinyasa. So what is going to connect you to yourself? We're going to take another long walk up to the front of the mat. That could be a big hop or a couple of steps if you're feeling that. When you get into your forward fold, in this version of a forward fold, bring your feet maybe a little wider apart side to side, put a little bend in your knees, and bring as much of your hand and forearm behind your calf as you can. That might literally just be your hands. That's okay. You might feel like you're cramping your own style. That's kind of what we're going for. From here, keep your grip on your legs, but extend your spine longer. So don't worry, you actually might fold deeper when you do that. You're not going to get higher up. You're just going to get longer. Once you do that, pull yourself in a little bit more. Fold over your legs. Bend your knees a little bit more. Wiggle your chest forward, extend your spine, and then press into your feet. Hug your body to your body. And then release. Yeah, buddy. Bend into your right knee. Step your left foot all the way back. Come on, warrior two. So, chest and shoulders lift. Hips are open to the side. So this is a side plane position, which means our bodies are opening to the side, like Crescent Lunge is front plane. Everything goes the same direction. When we're in side plane, the two halves of our bodies are oftentimes doing opposite or different things. So your back and front hip are in two different worlds, almost. Instead of trying to, fix it or make it any kind of way, see if your relationship to this pose right now can be a question. Hip, question mark, as opposed to hip. I don't know, maybe that makes sense, maybe it doesn't. Whatever your question is, see if you can lean into it a little bit more. Can you ask a little more intently? That's it. Flip the front palm, reach back, radiant warrior. See if you can ask your side bodies to get more space. And then extend out through your front leg and push into the ground as you reach your right arm forward and out. Try to stay in the side plane. Your right hand may want to come to a block, a book, your shin, whatever you've got. And your left top hip is probably going to want to close towards the floor. Don't let it. That's pyramid pose. Here in triangle, we want to be in the side plane. And if that's not okay for you, obviously please modify. But I think making that distinction of we're in the side plane oftentimes helps my body. Maybe that'll help you too. One more deep breath. Exhale, hands down, inside your front leg. Spin your front toes to the side of the mat. Wide leg forward fold. Prasarita, Patatanasana. You might, like I did, have to wiggle your foot out of the way of your sweat or wiggle your feet a little closer together. Feel free to move in this shape to add a twist or a side body stretch, whatever you want. And then we're going to come into Warrior Two with the left foot forward. So we're just going to spin the left toes back and come all the way up that way. If you'd like to switch sides a different way, healthy selfie. I know what's coming next, so I'm like omitting those vinyasas right now. But if you're feeling the heat and you want to keep building that in your body, like let that be the question you ask yourself, is like, how am I engaging with the energy I feel in my muscles, in my heart, in my brain? Where am I leading myself? That's it. Sit yourself a little deeper. Flip the front palm. Reach your chest and shoulders back, radiant warrior. And then extend out through the front leg. Keep pressing down through the outer edges of your legs. Try to lengthen your side bodies as you come into Triconasana with the left hand down, right hand up. And again, just sort of almost looking at alignment and anatomy as a question instead of a statement. Because honestly, without a body to inhabit or experience what we're talking about, it's just hypothetical. It's just theory. And you are more than that. Take a couple more breaths. And then fold down. Another wide leg forward fold, Prasarita, Patatanasana. This time we'll offer ourselves a little speed skater stretch. If you did that already and you want to do something else, help yourself. But you can bend one knee and walk your fingertips to the side and then go the other way. This can be as deep or shallow as your body is interested in. Different muscles will stretch differently when you do this differently, so feel free to explore what's being offered or what's being asked. If you'd like, you can take a couple of breaths down the middle. And then walk yourself back up and around the front leg. As you're ready, step back. Move through your vinyasa. Take movements or breath or stillness that connects you to yourself. All right, so an option here, once you get into down dog, would be to lower one forearm at a time to the mat for dolphin. Try to keep your forearms parallel and palms pressing down. You can walk your feet in as close as you want. You can keep your knees as bent as you need to. Keep reaching your chest and shoulders back towards the tops of your thighs. If that's not a great option for you, another chest and shoulder opener you might want to explore is puppy pose, where you have your hands out in front and your heart melting. You can even come down to your chin here if that's Untitled, if that's like a better shoulder stretch for you. And then come all the way back to hands and knees or down dog. We're going to step our right foot forward for Anjaneyasana, a low lunge. So your knee could be cushioned with a blanket if you want. And then we're going to bring our hands in this low lunge first to our hips. Excuse me. So when we let our hips fall too far forward, it crunches the low back. And when we're too far back, we don't get as much stretch in the front hip. So keeping the idea that you want more of a neutral spine here to keep your low back safe. How deep, like ask yourself the question, where is the stretch that doesn't compromise something? Like where is that middle ground where you're giving yourself a healthy boundary, but also permission for it to change, which is something I know I'm dealing with in my own body and life right now. Is like, how can I both be flexible and also give myself like enough of a container to grow and have an experience. Interlace your fingers behind the back of your head. Press back into your skull, hug your elbows forward, and then see if you can keep exploring where you are while you start to curl your upper back and shoulders behind you. That might mean you back up in the hips or sit deeper in the hips. It kind of depends on how you feel. And that's it. One more deep breath. Maybe lift your arms up alongside your ears. And then exhale, hands down around the front foot. If the ground feels far away, bring it closer to you with like your books or blocks or whatever you've got. And then keep pressing down into the ground. Tuck your back toes, lift your hips in the air. This time we're in the front plane. Fold into pyramid pose. Your hips are staying squared towards the front of the mat. So we talked about that in triangle in the opposite direction. If your back hip is opening to the side, see if you can square it down. Try to reach your outer hips back, and then keep all that length in your spine as you fold deeper. Lift through the chest, rebend your front knee. You can bring the blocks with you if you've got them out in front of your right foot, and then press down to lift the back leg, standing split. Urdhva Prasarita, Eka Padasana. Again, front plane. Everything is staying squared to the mat. As you're ready, exhale, fold forward, both feet to the mat. Lift your chest and shoulders, and fold back down. Press into both feet, stand up, reach your arms as high in the air as you want, and then release, forward fold, come all the way back down, move through your vinyasa. So you could step, float, or fly back through chaturanga or down dog. I just brought my back knee to the floor for Anjaneyasana on the second side. So whatever's going to connect you to yourself is what we're looking for. We will meet up in our lunge. So as we explore this lunge on this side, remind yourself that we're asking, that it's an invitation for the body, and that there isn't even an expectation that this side is going to do what the other side did. That this pose is its own experience. And that might mean you don't sit as deep or you sit deeper. We have that same invitation for hands behind the head. So if you would like to explore curling your upper body back, even as you sit your hips low, keep your chin a little tucked. Try to lengthen all four sides of your neck if you're doing that. And then wherever you are, arms can come up alongside your ears. Take a deep, full breath. And then exhale, hands down around the front leg for pyramid pose. So when you get your fingertips on the floor, notice that everything is squared towards the mat. Your back hip, your shoulders and chest. Don't compromise that to straighten your legs or lift the hips all the way. Sometimes I think those in-between places have so much value in them that we just rush past. And it doesn't have to always be like this. We can certainly change our shape. But like, what is there to learn about the moment we're in right now? This configuration of limbs and brain and you. Hug your inner thighs together. See if you can lengthen out a little more through the top of your head for another breath or two. And then lift your chest, rebend your front knee, and press down to lift up. Hands come forward, back leg lifts. Keep everything squared to the mat. Standing split. when you're ready, forward fold. And then yogi's choice, either hang out a little longer in a forward fold. You could do that forearms around the backs of the shins variation again if you want. Or if you'd prefer to squat here instead of forward fold, or take a shoulder stretch, help yourself. Unwind yourself here, hands to the hips, or press up to stand wherever you are. All right. Bring your feet wider apart side to side, about as wide apart as the mat. Interlace your fingers, and then roll your shoulders behind your rib cage. So if the heads of the arm bones are coming forward, that's called internal rotation for your heads of your arm bones, and we want external rotation here, mainly because we're going to keep doing back bending, but also because most of our life we're internally rotated on a computer, holding a little one, like driving a car, and so our bodies usually need more external rotation because they don't get a lot of it in the upper body, or the lower body depending. So just take a moment to stand tall and ask yourself, like, how is external rotation happening in your upper shoulders today? And when you're ready, just let your arms go. We'll take a side body stretch here. So crawl your fingertips down one leg, lift the other arm, and lean to the side. It doesn't matter which one you do. We're going to do both. But whichever way you're going, let your hips go the opposite way a lot. And then switch. Come on up. Crawl yourself down and over to the other side. Let your hips move away from your hand. And then come on up. All right. Bend your elbows back. Roll your shoulder blades together. Reach your hands behind you, interlace your fingers. You might notice, like, my shoulders did internally rotate to get the hand clasp, so I'm gonna reach the shoulders back even more once I get it. You could stay here again if this is a great stretch for you, and if you'd like a little more in the shoulders, you can fold at the hips and reach your knuckles away from your head. Your arms can go up as high as you want, but try not to lock your elbows out. That'll just bypass the shoulder stretch, and for a lot of people, their elbows are more flexible than their upper arms, so if that's you, just be mindful. And then when you're ready, hands come to the floor, forward fold. We're gonna bend into the right knee, step the left foot back, lower the back knee to the floor. Feel free to cushion your knee with a blanket. I actually think I am gonna do that now. From here, one option would be to just do that same hand clasp here in the lunge. It'll feel different, it'll be a little asymmetrical. It'll get your shoulders and your quads in the front of your leg. If you'd like more stretch for the front of your body and potentially for your shoulders as well, you can bend the back knee and pick the foot up to see if you can find your foot with both hands. So the both hands grab on your ankle or foot is going to add the shoulder stretch. If that's not happening today, the other stretch will do the same thing without the hassle. So wherever you are, see if you can back off from your low back, even as you sit your hips a little deeper. Can you externally rotate the upper arms and kick your foot into your hand? This should be a lot. That's it. One more deep breath. If you've got your foot in your hand, keep your right hand on your left foot. Spin around to the pinky edge as you bring your left hand to the floor. If you have the shoulder stretch, you can just release, bring your hand to the floor and reach back for your foot with your hand. You can also just do that same reach back that we did before. kick your foot into your hand. Maybe bring your left hand out to the left more and curl back. And when you're ready, unwind. We're coming into a pigeon pose. So your right foot is going to walk over to the left. Your shin's going to come to the floor. And my right knee is wider than my outer hip. If you want, you can put a block or a blanket under your front hip because we're actually staying vertical. We're not forward folding in this pigeon. You want to make sure that your front foot is extending out from your shin. It's not like sickled or angled funny. You want it to almost be like an extension of your shin. And same thing with the back foot if your toes are flat. If they're tucked under, they should be okay. See if you can square everything to the front of the mat more. You might have to scoot your back knee in to do this, but see if you can get more space in your low back. That's it. If you want, arms can lift up, either both at a time or one at a time. And even another option would be interlacing your hands behind the back of your head and curling yourself up and back behind you. That's it. When you're ready, hands come to the mat. Come back to down dog with your right leg in the air. Shake it out a little bit. Maybe stack and open. If flipping your dog is something you like to do and you know what that means, help yourself. If you want to flow, feel free to flow. We're going to meet up with the left foot forward in Anjaneyasana with the quad stretch. Deep breath. So, you could stay right here and interlace your hands behind your back. That's a great way to get shoulders and quads working together. You could also bend the back knee and find your foot or ankle with your hands. Hug your shoulder blades together. Try to sit your front hip down. That's it. Woo. Try to back off in your low back even as you sit a little deeper. And then see if you can be tricky. Maybe flip your left hand around your right foot so that your thumb is up. Some of you clever yogis might notice that that grip externally rotates the shoulder more. That's what we're going for. Kick your foot into your hand. Roll your shoulders back. Maybe even move your right hand out to the right more. And then release your foot with your hand. Come into that upright pigeon pose. So foot walks over. My foot is going to be as close to my body as I need it to be. I am not worried about getting the shin parallel to the floor in this version of pigeon, or kind of at all, if I'm going to be honest. This side might be real different. Oh yeah, this side's real different for me. So go slow and easy. If this is not happening, that's the answer to the question. You know, you can't force, you can force it, but I think we all know what that maybe is like in our own experience. And it's definitely not one I'm trying to recreate in my own body, let alone like encourage other people to do. So whichever version of this you're in, maybe your arms are lifting, maybe you've got the back of your head, maybe not. Just stay with you. Couple more breaths. When you're ready to, tuck your back toes, lift your left leg all the way up into the air, maybe shaking it out, maybe flipping the dog being you. And when you're ready, come all the way back, Adho Mukha Svanasana, and come down to your hands and knees. Take a few breaths in child's pose or get some water. Ustrasana, camel pose today. So I like to have something under my knees. And then if you have blocks or books, you can bring them on the outer edges of your feet. You can also tuck your toes under. For some people, that's enough height. I have a feeling today I'm gonna want a little more. You can bring your legs a little closer together if that feels like a more narrow stance. And then bring your hands together in front of your heart. A couple of deep breaths. Press down into your shins or your tucked under toes. And see if you can use that to reach your chest up into your thumbs more. So from the very bottoms of your feet all the way up into the top of your head starts to become involved. Tuck your chin a little bit. Imagine curling up and back behind you, and then back off in your low back and press up through your chest again. That's it. Reach your hips a little further forward. Notice if they were coming back towards your heels, and then come all the way back up. Release the feet if they're tucked, and sit your hips down. Just take a breath here, neutral spine. I like to flip my palms up on my knees. You can do whatever you want with that. Okay. So we're gonna do one more variation of this. We're gonna do an asymmetrical one and then one last one before we come onto our backs. I like to know what's happening sometimes, so I figured I'd pass that information on. This time, you're gonna bring your hands to your butt and kappa feel. If you had like back pockets, or you do have back pockets in the pants you're wearing, it's like you have your hand in your back pockets. From here, like again, notice this is like an internal rotation of the shoulder. Roll the heads of the arm bones back, external rotation. Press your butt into your hands and your hands into your butt. Try to get taller here, even as you start to curl back. Keep pressing down through the heels of your hands. Try to lengthen your tailbone towards the mat, even as you lift up through the collarbones. Curl the chest and shoulders back. That's it. And then tuck your chin, come all the way back up, and just sit back on the heels for a breath or two. Nice job, I'm guessing. Nice job, me. Nice job, cats. We're like all sleeping in here right now. Okay. Bring your right foot forward. So we're in that Anjaneyasana again. Your back toes can be tucked under or flat. If the foot's flat, just make sure it's not sickling or doing nothing. Make sure that you're pressing down nice and firm through your entire shin and top of your foot and ankle. We're gonna bring our right hand to our butt pocket. We're gonna bring our left hand back behind the head to start. So, right hand is doing that tailbone tucking under. Left hand and head are pressing together. Hug your elbow in. And then maybe lift your left arm up and then come back up. Okay, we're gonna do the other, we're gonna keep the right leg forward. This time bring your left hand to your butt. Right hand to the back of the head. So both sides of the body are doing this, but you're gonna see they're doing it differently. So as you curl back here, imagine like what's going on with your body, and maybe you bring your left hand to the block. Keep tucking your chin, keep externally rotating your shoulder. Maybe your left hand comes to your foot or ankle. And then if you'd like, you can reach your right arm up alongside your ear. That's it. One more deep breath. Tuck your chin, press into your feet, come on up. And just take a moment between sides. Whew, juicy. Second side. Okay. So again, we're gonna kind of do those two things on both sides. So first, left hand to your left butt and hip, right hand to the back of your head, Hug your shoulder blades together, curl up and over. Again, you might want to reach your right arm up alongside your ear. And then lift up nice and slow. And switch sides. Right hand comes to your right butt. Left hand comes behind your head. Tuck your chin, hug your elbow in. Curl up and back. So try to lengthen your low back, even as your skull and shoulders press behind you. Again, maybe your hand comes to your block or your foot. Continue to curl yourself back. Try to lengthen your neck. Try to lengthen your low back. Maybe your left arm reaches behind you. And then tuck your chin. Come all the way up. And sit back on your heels. If you're ready to be done with this, you can come onto your back, which is where we're going to meet up next. But if you've got one more back bend in you, we're going to do the full camel Ustrasana. So both hands are hypothetically coming to the blocks or your ankles. They can also stay on your butt and thighs, or right here in front of your chest. Lots of options. Wherever you are, I like to start with my hands on my chest because I like that physical feedback of like pressing up and rooting down. Tuck your chin a little. Try to lengthen your neck. Try to lengthen your tailbone. Keep reaching your hips forward as you start to curl back. Shoulders come behind you. Sides of the neck get long. And then either one arm at a time or both arms at a time, your hands can come to the blocks, to your ankles. Wow. If you're there, try to have your thumbs out left to right so there's more external rotation. Tuck your chin, lengthen your neck. Try to get longer through your side bodies. And then tuck your chin, press up, sit back on the heels. I like to bring my thumbs between my forehead a little bit after a deep back bend. We're coming all the way onto our backs, so if you'd like one last downward facing dog or any last movements that are upright, I actually think I want a down dog, so I'm going to give myself permission to take that. And then we are coming on to our backs. Well, when you get there, feel free to be moving more still. So you could have your knees into your chest. You could take a happy baby pose, or maybe a twist feels good. One option you might like is to bring something under your hips in like a supported bridge pose. So even just a blanket under the hips or a towel folded up can feel nice. If you do have a block or a book that you can slide under your sacrum and pelvis, that's one of my very favorites. You know, you might have more questions than answers when you approach your practice like this. You might be like, wait, hold on a second. I came to the mat to learn about myself. I came to the mat to figure out what this is all about. And the truth of the matter is like, maybe the answer is always going to be more questions. Perhaps our bodies never give a definitive yes or no. Maybe there's always an it depends associated with it. So if you are in this supported bridge pose and you're ready to come out, take your time. If there are any last movements or poses that you'd like to get into here before Shavasana for our final relaxation pose, help yourself. If resting on your back is not the most comfortable position for you, feel free to lie on your side, or I actually really love flipping over onto my belly like a little pancake. That can be nice. You might want to sit for Shavasana, depending on what you like. For the next couple minutes, we're just going to rest and breathe. Let yourself be where you are. Any questions still lingering or hanging in the air? Just be with you. Give yourself a couple of breaths here on the ground. And if you don't have anywhere to be and you don't feel like moving, you don't have to. You could just stay where you are and rest a little longer. But if you're ready to move and start to shift into whatever comes next in your day, start to stretch, maybe roll out your wrists and ankles, and get hugging close. And then roll all the way over to one side so that you can help yourself up and find an easy seated position. One of the ways that we get to explore our boundaries on the yoga mat is by having a perfect personal blend of effort and ease. How can we offer ourselves a container that is solid enough to hold our experience, but offer enough flexibility that the container changes as we change? I hope that that question is interesting, even if we didn't get answers to it today. And I hope wherever you are, you're well. Let me know if you have any questions about anything, and I'll see everyone soon. Bye.